Let me ask you a question, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. Have you ever found yourself standing in front of a chair and hesitating for just a split second before sitting down? Or maybe you've looked up at something on a high shelf and thought, no, better not risk it. Perhaps you've even turned down an invitation for a walk with a friend or a grandchild, not because you were tired, but because the sidewalk looked a little uneven, a little treacherous. If any of that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And what you're feeling isn't just caution, it has a name: the fear of falling. And if we're not careful, that fear can become a quiet thief in our lives, stealing little bits of our freedom, our joy, and our independence, one small decision at a time. And if you've ever told yourself, well, this is just part of getting older, I'm here today to respectfully but firmly challenge that idea. Because getting your confidence back, feeling steady on your own 2 feet, and keeping the independence you've worked your whole life to build is not just a hopeful wish, it's an achievable goal. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to get there. The phrase, stealing your independence, might sound a little dramatic, but for millions of older Americans, it's a daily lived reality. It's a feeling that grows quietly, often starting after a minor stumble or even just from watching a friend go through a bad fall. But here is the powerful truth that I want you to hold on to throughout our time together today. You have far more power to change this reality than you might believe. This isn't about wishful thinking. This is about practical, science-backed strategies that you can start using today. We're going to be drawing on guidance from some of the most trusted health institutions in the country, places like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institute on Aging, and the Mayo Clinic, to give you a complete toolkit for reclaiming your confidence. Here's our plan. First, we're going to look at the fear itself. And you might be surprised to hear that, initially, it's actually a good thing. We'll explore why this natural alarm system can sometimes get its wires crossed and become the very thing that puts us at greater risk. Then, and this is the part I am most excited to share with you, we're going to talk about a powerful technique to manage your own thoughts, a way to become the boss of your own brain and reframe those anxious feelings. After we've laid that mental groundwork, we're going to roll up our sleeves and get practical. I'll guide you through a simple at-home assessment you can do in less than a minute to get a clear picture of your current balance and mobility. Then, I'll show you a few foundational exercises, no fancy equipment needed, that are proven to build strength where it matters most. We'll even do a quick home safety scan to eliminate the common hazards that are easy to overlook. And finally, we'll bring it all together to create your own personalized confidence plan, putting you firmly back in the driver's seat of your life. My promise to you is that by the end of this video, you won't just have information. You will have a clear, actionable path toward feeling more secure, more capable, and more like yourself again. And just a quick but very important reminder before we dive in. I am not a doctor, and this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The goal here is to empower you with knowledge so you can have more informed conversations with the medical professionals who know you best. So, let's begin with the most important first step, understanding the nature of the very fear we're trying to conquer. Let's get one thing straight, right from the start. Feeling a fear of falling is not a weakness. It is not a character flaw. In fact, it's a sign that your brain is working exactly as it should. Think of it as your own personal, highly advanced internal security system. For our entire lives, this system has been running in the background, keeping us safe. It's what made us look both ways before crossing the street as a child. It's what made us hold the handrail when carrying a heavy box down the stairs. A study published in the National Library of Medicine highlights that this fear is often a completely rational and adaptive response to a real potential danger. It's a healthy respect for gravity. So, if you've been feeling this fear, the first thing I want you to do is to stop judging yourself for it. Your body and brain are simply trying to protect you. They've identified a potential threat, and they are sounding the alarm. This is a good thing. It's a sign of a system that wants to keep you upright and safe. But what happens when that helpful security system becomes a little too sensitive? What happens when the alarm that's meant to protect you from a real fire starts going off every time you make toast? This is the vicious cycle that so many people get trapped in, and understanding it is the key to breaking free. According to experts at UCI Health, the cycle works like this. It starts with the fear. Because you're afraid of falling, you logically decide to do less. You stop taking those longer walks. You avoid the stairs. You turn down activities that feel even slightly risky. You're trying to be safe, which is a perfectly reasonable intention. But here's the paradox. Inactivity is one of the biggest risk factors for a fall. The less you move, the weaker your leg and core muscles become. The less you challenge your balance, the more your body's balancing systems begin to decline. So this very smart-seeming strategy of avoiding activity actually makes you physically less stable. This, in turn, increases your actual risk of falling. And when you feel more wobbly, what happens? The fear gets worse. And so the cycle spins faster and faster. Fear leads to inactivity, which leads to weakness, which leads to a higher risk, which leads to even more intense fear. In fact, some key research has shown that a significant fear of falling, all by itself, can increase your actual risk of a future fall by as much as 20 to 30%. It becomes a devastating self-fulfilling prophecy, all born from the very sensible desire to stay safe. It's the reason the garden starts to get overgrown, or the walk to the mailbox feels like a journey across a treacherous landscape. The fear becomes the real disability, stealing the life you love right out from under you. So if the cycle starts in the mind, with that powerful emotion of fear, then that's exactly where we need to begin our work to break it. This brings us to what I believe is the most empowering tool in our entire toolkit. It's a concept from a type of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Now, don't let the clinical-sounding name intimidate you. At its heart, CBT is simply a practical, common-sense way to become the manager of your own thoughts. It's based on a simple idea. It's not always the event itself that causes our distress, but our interpretation of that event. For example, the thought of walking across an open room isn't inherently terrifying, but the thought, if I walk across that room, I might fall, break my hip, end up in a hospital, lose my independence, and become a burden to my family? Well, that is absolutely terrifying. That's what we call a catastrophic thought. Cognitive restructuring, the core of CBT, is the process of catching these catastrophic thoughts and challenging them. It's like having a conversation with that overly anxious part of your brain. You learn to act like a gentle but firm detective, examining the evidence for that scary thought. You ask questions like, okay, is it a 100% certainty that I will fall? Have I walked across this room safely thousands of times before? What are the actual odds of the worst-case scenario happening? Then you work on replacing that catastrophic thought with a more realistic and balanced one. So instead of, if I fall, my life is over, you might reframe it as, falling is something I want to avoid, and I'm taking steps to make it less likely. I am getting stronger. My home is safer. And if I were to stumble, I have a plan in place. It would be a setback, not the end of my story. Do you feel the difference? One is a thought of pure panic and helplessness. The other is a thought of caution, realism, and control. This isn't about pretending the risk doesn't exist. It's about putting that risk into its proper perspective. And the science on this is incredibly encouraging. A major Cochrane review, which is a gold standard for medical evidence, analyzed multiple studies and confirmed that psychological interventions based on CBT significantly reduce the fear of falling among older adults living in the community, with effects that last. All right, let's just take a quick pause and a deep breath right here. We are about halfway through our journey, and we've already covered some incredibly important ground. We've established that the fear of falling is a normal protective instinct. We've uncovered the vicious cycle where that fear, left unchecked, can actually increase our risk. And most importantly, we've just learned that we have the power to challenge and reframe the very thoughts that fuel that fear. We're moving from understanding the problem to actively solving it. If you're finding this guide helpful and are feeling a little more hopeful already, I would be so grateful if you took just a moment to tap that like button below this video. It truly helps this information reach more people just like you who need to hear it. Thank you for that. Now, having started on the inside game of managing our thoughts, it's time to get a clear, objective picture of where we are physically. This brings us to our first major action step, and it's something you can do right now, in the comfort of your own home. It's called the Timed Up and Go test, or TUG test for short. This is a simple, safe assessment used by doctors and physical therapists all over the world, and recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to gauge a person's basic mobility and fall risk. Think of it not as a pass or fail exam, but as a way of gathering useful data. It's establishing your personal baseline so you can measure your progress. Here's all you need: a sturdy chair with armrests and a way to time yourself, like the stopwatch on your phone or a kitchen timer. First, place the chair somewhere with a clear path in front of it. Measure out a distance of 10 feet. That's about 3 or 4 large steps, and mark that spot on the floor with a piece of tape or a small object. The test begins with you sitting comfortably in the chair. When you say go and start the timer, your task is to stand up from the chair, walk at your normal, comfortable pace to the 10-foot mark, turn around, walk back to the chair, and sit down completely. You stop the timer the moment your back touches the back of the chair again. That's it. Now, according to the CDC, most healthy, active older adults can complete this test in 12 seconds or less. If it takes you longer than 12 seconds, it may indicate a higher risk of falling. But please, hear me clearly on this. That number is not a judgment. It is simply information. It's your starting point. It's the before picture in your journey to renewed confidence. Knowing this number gives you power because now you have a concrete metric you can work to improve. Whether your TUG test time was 10 seconds or 20, the path forward is largely the same: building targeted strength and balance. This is where we truly start to take back physical ground from the fear. You do not need a gym membership or fancy, complicated machines. In fact, some of the most effective exercises for fall prevention can be done right in your living room, using a sturdy chair for support. We're going to focus on 2 powerhouse exercises recommended by the National Institute on Aging. The first is the simple but incredibly effective sit to stand. This movement is the absolute foundation of functional strength. We do it dozens of times a day without thinking, getting out of bed, up from the dinner table, off the sofa. Strengthening this motion builds power in your legs, glutes, and core, all of which are critical for stability. To do it safely, stand in front of a sturdy chair, feet shoulder-width apart. Cross your arms over your chest. Now, slowly and with control, bend your knees and lower your hips back as if you're about to sit, just until you lightly touch the chair. Then, without resting, push through your heels and stand back up straight. That's one repetition. The key is control, not speed. Aim for a set of 8 to 10 repetitions. If this is too difficult at first, feel free to use the armrests of the chair to help you push up. The real power of this exercise lies in how it directly translates to real-world confidence. Our second foundational exercise targets balance directly, the single leg stance. Our ability to balance on one leg even for a few seconds is crucial for walking, climbing stairs, and catching ourselves if we stumble. To begin, stand behind a sturdy chair, holding on to the back for support. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Now, slowly lift your left foot off the floor. Try to hold this position for 10 seconds. Then, slowly lower your left foot and repeat on the other side. As you get more comfortable, you can challenge yourself. Try holding on with just one hand. Then, maybe just one finger. Eventually, your goal might be to hold the position for up to 30 seconds without holding on at all. But always, always keep that chair right there in front of you as your safety net. What makes this so special is that it's not just strengthening your muscles, it's retraining the complex communication between your brain, your inner ear, and the nerves in your feet. It's like tuning up your body's internal gyroscope. By practicing these two simple exercises just a few times a week, you are actively rewriting your physical story from one of potential weakness to one of growing strength and stability. Building a stronger, more stable body is our primary line of defense. But it's just as important to make sure our home environment, our sanctuary, isn't secretly working against us. It's like training a great goalie and then leaving trip hazards all over the ice. So, our next action step is a quick 5-minute home safety scan, drawing on wisdom from sources like the Mayo Clinic. I want you to walk through your home, maybe even right after this video, and look at it with fresh eyes, specifically hunting for these common culprits. First, look down. The number one offender in many homes is the throw rug. They look nice, but their curled edges and tendency to slip make them one of the most common tripping hazards. The best solution is to remove them entirely, especially in high-traffic areas. If you love a rug and can't part with it, make sure it has a non-slip backing or is secured to the floor with double-sided carpet tape. Second, think about lighting. Many falls happen at night on the way to the bathroom or the kitchen. Are the pathways from your bedroom well lit? A simple solution is to install inexpensive plug-in nightlights in your hallways, bathrooms, and kitchen. It's a tiny change that makes a world of difference when you're moving around in the dark. Also, make sure you have a lamp or a light switch easily reachable from your bed, so you never have to walk into a dark room. Third, let's talk about clutter. We all have it, but piles of books, shoes left by the door, or electrical cords stretched across a walkway are accidents waiting to happen. The goal isn't to become a minimalist overnight. The goal is to create clear, wide pathways through every room. Use a simple basket as a clutter collector that you can empty later. Tidy up cords along the baseboards. The idea here is to make your home your safest, most comfortable ally in this journey. By taking just 5 minutes to identify and fix these common hazards, you are taking another powerful powerful step in stacking the deck in favor of your own safety and independence. We have now covered so much crucial territory. We've worked on the mind, learning to manage the thoughts that fuel our fear. We've assessed and started to strengthen the body with targeted, effective exercises. And we've secured our home environment, turning it into a supportive sanctuary. The final step is to bring all of these pieces together into your own personalized confidence plan. This isn't a formal document you have to write out, unless you want to. It's a shift in mindset, a commitment to a series of small, consistent actions that together create massive change. Your plan has 3 simple parts. First, set small, achievable goals. The goal isn't to go from being hesitant to walk to the end of the driveway to running a 5K next week. The goal is progress, not perfection. A great starting goal could be, this week, I will walk to the mailbox and back every single day. Once you achieve that, and it feels comfortable, you build on it. Next week, I will walk to the corner and back. These small, consistent wins are what rebuild confidence. They provide tangible proof to your brain that you are capable and getting stronger. Second, make your doctor your partner. The next time you have an appointment, don't just say you're feeling a bit unsteady. Go in prepared and empowered. You can say something like, "Doctor, I've been experiencing a significant fear of falling, and it's causing me to limit my activities. I did the timed up and go test at home, and my time was seconds. I've started doing sit-to-stands and balance exercises. What other resources or recommendations do you have for me?" This transforms you from a passive patient into an active, informed partner in your own healthcare. Your doctor may be able to refer you to a physical therapist for a personalized exercise plan or review your medications to see if any of them might be affecting your balance. And third, reframe the tools of safety as tools of empowerment. For many of us, myself included, the thought of using a cane or a walker can feel like a defeat. It can feel like a symbol of lost independence. I want to invite you to completely flip that script. A cane or a walker is not a sign of weakness. It's a tool of intelligence. It's like having a portable handrail with you at all times. It doesn't take away your independence. It expands it. It might be the very thing that gives you the confidence to go to the farmer's market or walk in the park with your grandkids. The same goes for a medical alert system. It's easy to see it as admitting you're frail, but you can also see it as a safety net that gives you the freedom to be home alone without worry for yourself and for your family. These aren't symbols of decline. They are strategic tools that enable you to live the life you want to live, on your own terms. So let's take a final look back at the incredible progress we've made today. You took a huge step by simply deciding to watch this, to face this fear head-on. That is a victory. You learned that your fear is a normal instinct, not a flaw. That's a victory for self-compassion. You discovered the vicious cycle of fear and inactivity, and more importantly, you learned how to break it by becoming the manager of your own thoughts. That is a massive victory for your mental freedom. You took tangible action by learning how to assess your own mobility, how to build foundational strength, and how to make your home a safer space. Those are concrete victories for your physical well-being. You have moved from a place of quiet concern to a place of empowered action. The core message I want to leave you with is this: your independence is not a fragile thing that shatters with one misstep. It is resilient. It is something you can protect, nurture, and strengthen every single day. You have the tools. You have the knowledge. You are in control. Now, I would love to hear from you. We've covered a lot of ground, from the psychology of fear to the practicality of exercises. Which part of our conversation today was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it reframing the fear as a protector? Was it the idea of challenging your own thoughts? Or was it one of the simple, actionable steps? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading through the experiences and insights of this community is one of the most rewarding parts of making these videos. And if you found value in this deep dive and want more content designed to help you live a stronger, healthier, and more independent life, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little notification bell so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for your time and your trust today. It means the world to me. Be well, stay empowered, and I'll see you in the next video.